Next speaker is Dr. Genella Struble Jemelka. I'm sorry, I screwed it up.
Hey, it's not the easiest name in the world. Well, first of all, I really want to thank you in two ways. I spent a lot of time this summer visiting schools across the country. As Superintendent Pontrelli knows, education is my life. I have a PhD in educational administration, policy analysis, and a PhD in counseling psychology, so children are my life. And the second is for the board who put faith in Superintendent Pontrelli to make some very, very, very difficult decisions. And I am both a parent and I'm an educator and advocate for children. And when you look across the country, we have a top-notch school district, and the decisions that were not made lightly. And we can't all have everything that we want. So I just want to thank you. And Denise, I sent you a long email about how much I really appreciate the work that you do. So as I said, I'm here wearing two hats. My first and second hats are really difficult to separate. I am a parent. In fact, I am one of the few parents, African-American parents, in where we go to school. My kids go to school at Anderson Elementary. We do live in Oak Park Heights. When my children were getting to the point to go to elementary school, I went to every single elementary school, public and private, met with the assistant principal and the teachers of kindergarten and first grade, and chose Anderson. And I stick with Anderson. However, we're in our third week of school, our first full week of school, and school is starting to happen. And there are a few issues that I'm here to present that we simply need to figure out a way to address. And Denise and Superintendent Pontrelli and Eric Anderson, we worked on some of this and had discussions, but now they're playing themselves out. They're no longer hypothetical. So the overall theme is around equity, diversity, and cultural competence. And there's 5 major issues that are playing themselves out in real life. One is policy. We do not have a policy that connects hate crime and bullying. We have a very clear policy on bullying. We have that's in our district handbook, which only I'm sure me and a few other people have read page by page, and in our parent handbook, very clear. We have had this week alone, and it's Thursday, I believe, I have had over 27 emails from new parents to Anderson who are parents of children of color, who know me, I don't know them. I even had an interaction in Walgreens where they're saying their children don't want to go to school because the children are mean and so on and so forth. And there was an incident where my son was bullied. And so, the principal and I had a conversation, and simply the policy is incongruent. We need a way to disseminate and discuss the information. Bayport is, as well as Stillwater, is not known for being very diverse, and honestly, there are some very, very racially intimidating things that happen that you could never imagine. But I've lived here for over a decade. We need to integrate our policies in all aspects, not just have a policy on social or cultural diversity and a policy on hazing or what have you, but integrate those and teach our staff what to do. What I got from the incident from my son being bullied was a nasty letter from his teacher saying that he was a bully, when it turns out that he followed all aspects, called for help, no one helped, and he was mob attacked. My son is 8. The last one is that many districts have cultural liaisons that serve in a purpose much like our student advocates, but they're much more advanced, that they're able to work with faculty and staff around cultural competence. They're able to work with policy. They're able to do those sorts of things. And I think as we sit around the table and really digest this, we have an opportunity, because it is the end of our Bridge Success and we'd like to be solutions and not problems. So thank you.
Thank you. So if I can just try to synthesize what you mentioned there, you would like us to look again at our policies related to bullying, hate crimes, cultural competence, and try to integrate the policy and then work with teachers and staffs to make sure that they're aware of the policies and they act according to them?
Well, yes and no. So the only hate crime policy that this district has is from 1982, and it follows federal guidelines. It was updated in 1985 and revised in 1989. It has not been touched again. It took me 2 hours to find that. So that's an issue. So that's the first thing, is we need to have a district policy that's updated, that even follows state regulations, city regulations, and federal regulations. It does not. At this point, we are not in compliance with federal law in terms of hate crimes. So that's one issue. The second is then to integrate that. It will stand alone, obviously, just like our IEPs and our 504s. Sure. But it should be integrated into bullying. I mean, children should not be mob crimed because they're the only brown child out at recess. And my son is not very brown. And so that's several issues, and that in and of itself is a big piece. We're not in compliance as a school district.
Okay, and did you check our discipline policy? Is that where I remember?
So I have the parent handbook that went out. There is a very clear bullying policy. I went to several schools today. It was a very busy day. Not a single parent handbook had anything about transitions of more diverse schools, anything like that. So it was an opportunity lost when we had these parent meetings that they could have begun to talk about, how do you work with somebody that's a different color? We lost that because we have nothing. I mean, this is the same handbook that I've gotten every year for the last 5 years. And so Anderson went from 98%, roughly 98% Caucasian students, still 100% Caucasian staff and faculty, to about 75%. So it increased to 25% students of colors, English language learners, so on and so forth. And we're not ready. But school's here, and these children are here, and school phobia is ugly. So that's just one thing, is the policy is one thing. The second thing would be around developing a strategic plan that then addresses how do we integrate this into every aspect of our district, from sports to teaching to everything.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.